Voting is an expression of our commitment to ourselves, one another, this country, and this world.
Vote. Welcome to Gaytalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Gaytalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can access that live stream every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do so by visiting digitalstreamradio.com or
Ish.
6:30-ish. Yeah, because we were super late today. Anyway, so we've got a great show for you today. On our show, we're welcoming Quentin Lee and Kit Dezolt. They're here to talk about AsianAmericanMovies.com, the first streaming destination service featuring all Asian American focused content, which premiered a groundbreaking comedic TV series called Boy Luck Club, featuring an all Gaysian cast, which means that, they're Asian, they're all gay. We're super excited about it. And they're going to be
Is
our
that what it
guest.
means?
Yes.
Oh,
I just
okay.
wanted to make sure
All right.
that people understand it's Gaysian. And so our guest will join us on the second half of the show. My name is Tom, and I am your host. And as always, I'm here in the studio with host. It's like a revolving door. You never know who's going to show up.
Mhm.
Starting with the first one.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
And
Jae Bear, how are ya?
Jae Bear is back in the house, and welcome you all to
The Dish.
All right, so
I was thinking when Jay's here, we
Uh-huh.
can end with Jay and welcome to the gay. I don't know. I'm just I'm in my head, I'm like, how do we do it?
welcome to the dish, gay dish.
Gay-
I don't know.
We'll figure
We'll leave
it
it
out.
up to the listeners. You tell us what you want to hear. So anyway, it's been a crazy week. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
A little bit of everything. When you think about what's going on in Congress with the court nomination, animals just doing amazing things. There's just so much going on.
There is.
And
yeah.
but I just wanted to kick it out, of course, to my amazing co-host and everyone that shows up and sits down with us here in the studio, so that we can just talk about what's been going on with you over the past week. So why don't we start with you, Mr. J? How are you?
Fantastic and happy to be back.
Our little J
A
Bear.
little Jae Bear.
So,
I wouldn't say little. I mean, he's definitely a bear.
Well, yeah, he's definitely
Close to the
Yeah.
mouth, I know.
Get into that mic.
Get into that
like you're blowing. Well,
And I cleaned it.
It's sanitized.
Yeah, so you can
Perfect.
get on it.
you know what it's like.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Don't be afraid to get close. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Just get right on it.
Right
you know?
on it.
Wow. So how are you?
Fantastic. Great. Had a great weekend.
Right.
Like always doing stuff around the house and cooking.
Well, cooking is his thing. So I just have to tell you right now, this man can throw down in the kitchen.
I like it.
Doesn't matter what it is. It could be breakfast. It could be
Dumplings.
everything. He can throw it out in the kitchen.
Yep.
So, so you are a family man, obviously. You have, your wife, you have your grandchildren, all your daughters. You guys were over here on Friday because we were playing bingo. So, I don't know if I've said this on the show.
No, his daughter is a scam artist. What?
She is. So,
Just because she won continuously.
so my mom is used to, she's an older woman. She's got a lot of older friends, and she's used to going to bingo halls to play bingo. And so bingo halls have been closed, right? Because of COVID, and you can't really get anywhere. So what I did was I was like, listen, Mom, here's the rules. I will order the little papers or whatever, and we can play bingo here, but it's got to be a limited amount of people, just a few friends, and we'll play bingo. And so we've been doing that every Friday for like the past 2 months or 3 months. And I said, we're not doing it in the house. We can do it outside. And when it gets cold, bingo's done. It's over. So throughout all of this, Jay, his daughter, his family, his wife, even your mother-in-law came once
Yes.
for her birthday.
For her birthday.
To play bingo. And, we just sit here and we play. Whether we gamble or not, that's a whole different story, but we play. And so his daughter came up.
It's not illegal. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. His daughter came up last weekend, and she rocked house, man. She won. She was like, bingo, bingo, bingo. you know how those old ladies get, right? When people start winning their money, they're like, we're gonna cut her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but it was fun.
she had a ball. She had a
Yeah.
ball. We had a great time,
Yeah.
like we always do, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, she got up the next day. She's like, "Oh, I think Tommy's mom was upset at me. I kept saying bingo so much." But
Well-
as always, it's a fun time.
She was stealing money from her chocha. So.
That's right.
Her
So
chochita,
her
Chochita,
chochita.
sorry.
That's right. So my mother has this little tiny purse,
coin purse.
and
Yeah.
it's like a little coin purse that she fills with her little dollar bills.
And your aunt.
And my aunt, but I was gonna get there.
Okay, sorry.
So my mother has one that she bought, and so she calls it her chochita, which means it's her pussy, right? And so all night long we kept joking that her pussy was empty. It was like dying down. It was like, mother, there's nothing there. I was like, you gotta lube it up, do something, right?
Mhm.
And then my aunt says, well, I have a pussy too. And I'm like, yeah, that's grandma's pussy. So when my grandmother passed away, my aunt, the youngest, inherited her coin purse or her pussy and
Chochita.
her chochita. And so, so, now my mother and her are in a competition. Like, well, I have mom's pussy. And then she goes like, well, I have my own pussy. And we're going back and forth. And then Nick arrives later on in the evening and starts playing. And we're all like, like
Going
talking
on about the chochitas.
and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And then, of course, so then the machine, because I have this automated machine that calls the numbers, calls 30, the number 30. And the whole place just goes 30, 30. And ooh, ooh. And Nick is like, what the fuck is going on?
Uh-huh.
He was lost. He was just like,
No,
he was,
my favorite part of the night was when we took a break and we were standing outside and I looked at you and I was like, Tom, how do you say I'm going to steal all the money from your chocha or chochita? And you told me, repeat it. Or I'm going to take all the money, all your money.
Te voy a coger todo el dinero de la chocha.
Mhm. So he said that to me a couple times and then I repeated it loudly to all of the,
The women who had chochas.
the matrons in the room, and it was like an Hispanic uproar. Like, I'm not even kidding you. They were like screaming, and I'm like, "Oh, what did I do?"
You were trying to take their money away from their chocha. And, they don't, homie don't play that. But anyway, it's always a good time. We prep food and stuff and we hang out and we just have a good time. And it's only 10 of us. So I don't allow no more than 10 people. And we try to social distance and stay outside. And so just to
Even though Jay keeps like coming up on me all the time.
I know it's the bear
keep
thing,
away.
right?
Yeah.
It's the bear thing. So, but that's basically our weekend. Jay was here for most of it, and
had a great
and
time.
Nick, you were here this weekend too. But I'm just gonna toss it over to you. How are you? How are you? And how was your week?
Oh God.
Oh God.
So I mean, like good things happen this week,
Uh-huh.
and then some not so good things happen this week. So I'm officially a consultant, which is exciting and
Nice.
amazing. I'm getting paid to help theaters around the country put on virtual events, which is I never thought would happen.
Which is something that you did, by the way, for your previous employer.
That's why I got the job.
Amazingly.
That's why
it
I
was
got-
one of
yeah.
the best,
Yeah, and so that's really exciting. I mean, the money's really good. So I'm excited about that. But on the opposite end of things, I've been having a really hard time, and I think that this is important to talk about. Even if we don't get to gay penguins right away, we can
Right.
cover it later. Both my parents and some other family members voted for Trump.
You told me about this.
And
and
then,
it's very disheartening, right?
but then they also, I don't think they meant to throw it in my face,
Mm.
but there was a full out Trump cutout picture. Like if you were to go to the movies and see like those cutouts of those pictures of all the actors in the movie.
Right.
The life size.
Yeah, exactly. In my parents' living room, and they were posing for photos and then sent it to our family group chat, which I then said my piece and left the group chat. But like then last night, I was trying to have a civil conversation with my father about why it hurt me so bad, and he still to this day doesn't get it. And so what I did today was I sent him a slew of articles by reputable sources because like Huffington Post, he doesn't believe like blah blah blah, whatever, doesn't matter. But the reality is, it's like he didn't even realize that on day one when President Trump took office, the LGBTQ resource page came down on the White House page.
Right.
And
Along with the HIV
Mhm.
website and all, there was a lot of,
Mhm.
and even for example, transgender, anything that had to do with the word transgender was actually eliminated from
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff on the White House website.
And I feel like a lot of people in the gay community are dealing with people that they love dearly and have to respect their choice. But like, how do you
Navigate
navigate it?
and
It's
be
hard
yeah.
because I was on the phone with my father last night and I was crying.
But the thing is, so we've had this conversation before, and we've talked about your interactions with your family, with your mom and your father, and even your sister, regarding their choices in candidates and how that impacted you. And so the fact that you have already been, sort of kind of like prepping them and saying, "Hey, Dad, this is how I feel."
Mhm. I mean, I knew my dad was gonna go Trump. I knew
Right.
it. Like, there wasn't anything that was gonna change his mind.
Vote for whoever you want, but throwing it, I think throwing it in your face is more what
Right.
Yeah,
hurt
and
you
Right.
more than the fact that they chose to vote
also
that way.
Exactly.
also every time we bring it up, my father's like, we're not talking politics because it's not gonna be healthy for
Yeah.
the family. Like, we're not talking about it. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then you send that?
Yeah.
To a family
Well-
group chat that you're included in.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I was with a good friend of mine. His birthday was 2 weeks ago, and excuse me, and he is gay.
Mhm.
He's married to his partner,
Mhm.
and in the front of the house, his partner put a sign across the window that says "Vote Trump out." So it was his birthday 2 weeks ago. His parents came up to visit,
Mm.
and his mother goes on to tell them, "Have you heard all the good stuff that Trump has been doing lately?" Well, knowing well that that's not a topic,
They want to
one,
talk
that they
about it.
want to talk about, and two, why would you bring that up during your gay son's birthday?
Mhm.
Right.
Is the way I saw it. Needless to say, it's been about 2 weeks, and we've talked about it off and on a couple of times, and I could hear it in his voice how distressed he is.
Mhm.
That
It's
yeah,
distressing.
Yeah.
and specifically your birthday. This is your day. You're supposed to be a day of celebration,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and to bring that up, it was a bit of a sour note,
Yeah.
Right.
and it you don't realize how much it impacts individuals.
No, and I had a moment last night. My sister, after I got off the phone with my dad and I was an emotional wreck, she was like, "Did you leave the family group chat? What happened?"
Yeah.
And I was like, and I explained, and she was like, "Nick, you can't be angry at people for voting for Trump. Like, you
Yes, you
can't be
can.
hold on. You can't be angry at them for voicing their political opinion and casting their vote." And I told her straight out, "You're 100% correct.
Hmm.
What I can be upset about is the fact that dad didn't know about this, mom didn't know about this, you didn't know about this, and you didn't know about how it makes me feel. You don't know how this man has actually done negative shit
Actively. He's actively
actively
going against the
going
LGBT community.
Yeah, but not just us. I mean, we can get beyond
Oh,
all
of
of us,
course.
but like the reality is, it's like you're voting from a fiscally responsible Republican viewpoint.
Right.
And I get that. And I 100% support that. And I said on the show that I am a Democrat, but I lean toward the fiscal responsibility of Republicans. 100%. That is me.
Right. But when
But
you
there is
have a
no happy
candidate,
fucking medium right now.
not with this president. No.
And don't and like do not ever bring up Hunter Biden to me when you look at fucking Trump's kids and all the shit that they've done and all the money that they've taken. Like, how dare you bring up Hunter Biden
Right.
when Biden has been through so fucking much losing so many fucking kids. Of course Hunter's fucked up. He lost his mom, he lost his brother,
He lost his
He
sister.
lost a lot.
Right.
So yeah, he has a drug problem. He fixed it.
Well, here's the
Did he
thing.
take money? Maybe. Do we know?
We don't.
It's unproven.
So prove it. That's all we say. Prove it. Don't come at, so during the last debate, oh, you took money from this company, your son took money from that. Listen, you're going to sit here and spew out all these accusations. Where's the proof?
Mhm.
Show me. But, out of all of this, right? So having these conversations with family can be very difficult because indeed it can be. Nonetheless, it's even worse when you're seeing members of your own community who know what disparaging acts and what the administration is actively doing to suppress, first and foremost, our rights. Think about, for example, the current nomination to the Supreme Court in Amy Coney Barrett, and the fact that she is tried and did it, and she is actively advocating in other instances prior to being nominated that she doesn't agree with the gay lifestyle, right? Or that she doesn't agree with Roe versus Wade and that she would like to see that overturned. But, over and over again, you're seeing instances in where this administration is actively attacking our women,
Mhm.
the LGBT community, our civil rights, and marriage equality, which we only gained in 2015. It's really disheartening to see out of all of this, that even our own members in the LGBT community could support someone who is actively seeking to take away your
You know what's
rights.
funny?
Yeah.
My dad didn't even know that the Supreme Court during the Obama administration passed marriage equality and made it the law of the land.
Right.
He didn't even know that. And he was like, well, it's supposed to be a state decision. I was like,
No.
no, Dad, it's not a fucking state decision. I have rights in all 50 fucking states.
Well, and that is how
And I love my parents. I do.
It's hard.
But it's really hard because, like, I don't want to fucking see them right now or talk to them right now.
like. And then the thing is, like, for example,
blame
you have
him.
this
Don't blame him.
conversation with him, and he probably already voted, early voting.
No, you know what he did say to me? He was like, you know what, Nick? I'm going to go because this is obviously you're very upset. We're not going to have a healthy conversation right now. But what I will do tomorrow is I will look everything that you've said to me. I will look it up and I will read about it. And that's what I appreciate about my father.
And so he's actively
Even though he
looking
casted
into,
his vote.
right.
Kudos
It's
to
done.
him. He's making an effort to
Yep.
at least try and connect with you in some level
Yeah, and he
I-
always does.
and
but
how you feel.
And I
At
hope
least,
I
yeah.
hope that you guys will come to a place in where he understands how.
Oh,
his-
it's going to happen next Tuesday. It's going to
Oh.
be a great day. Can't wait.
So, well,
Can't wait.
we all know what happened when we did the live event during the last election, right? And how that we went from enthusiasm to crying really fast on air. It was very, very intense, and so we hope that that's not going to be the repeat of what ends up happening this time around. But we are going to do an election episode.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to have Dr. G on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Tuesday, we're going to do a live episode, talking about what we're seeing, what the numbers are, and just going through our emotions and cheering for the person that we're supporting.
What's different is that this started in your apartment.
Right.
And so we just moved a table to the living room and
Uh-huh.
watched the TV. So now how are we going to move this entire table upstairs? Or are we going to have to, like, turn around like this?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can take a TV and pop it up on the opposite wall, and we'll figure it out. Trust me, it'll work. All I can say is this: listen, guys, it's not an easy time to be an American and to live in America and be a member of the LGBT community. But I suppose that other people around the world have it worse. But all I can do is say this. Get the fuck out there and vote if you believe that this man is going to destroy your life, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And I don't want to sit here and stoke fear on anyone, but just watch what they do. Don't pay attention to what they say. Watch what they're doing. Look at all the things that they're putting, all the pawns that they're putting in place, all of the justices and judges that they put in lower courts, and now the nomination of this justice, that, by the way, will probably get passed tonight. She'll end up being on the Supreme Court. See what happens. Watch what they do, not what they say. And you're going to start seeing a very clear picture of where they're headed or what their intentions are. And with that, I'm going to say that we have to leave you and go to break because we do have guests that are joining us today. And as much as we love this conversation, and we would like to continue, we do have to make sure that we make sure we get our guest on. So I'm going to leave you guys with some music. And when we come back, we have our guest joining us. Here we go.
She was waiting by the back door, said, babe, we gotta leave town. Get your shit, get your suitcase, your dog, your guitar, cause we gotta go now, cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names, yes, they're coming, just to say, well, I know you don't want to leave your life. You've had some blood and tears, little joy, little strife. But they're coming, well, they're coming down the road, yes, they're coming, truth be told. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land in the first place, but they're coming just the same. Got a knapsack full of judgment, hypocrisy, and lies. And they're talking so much hateful bullshit, they've begun to gather flies. But they're coming, well, don't come in the eyes. Yes, they're coming, no surprise. There was so much terror in our past. How are you so surprised it's come to bite you in the ass? Yes, it's coming. Well, it's nipping at your heels. Yes, it's coming for the kill. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land to sell or trade. No, don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land in the first place. They're coming just the same.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the break. That, of course, was Amanda Barrick with her song Wastelands, which, of course, is available on iTunes and all the music streaming services. Make sure that you go check her out. She's amazing. And, she's been a previous guest of ours. We absolutely love her.
And her mom.
And her mom, Linda Stay, of course. And all right. So listen, guys, we have two amazing guests joining us today to talk about a TV series, which is one of the first to feature an all Gaysian cast. And if you're wondering what Gaysian is, of course, it's gay and Asian. Hello. And of course, the TV series is called Boy Luck Club. They are featured on a streaming service which just it's one of the first of its kind. It's called asianamericanmovies.com, and we're super excited to have you guys on the show. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, are you guys in New Haven?
We
We are.
Wow. Okay, I went to school there.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yale.
yeah, I did my master's in English actually back in '93,
Oh.
between '92 and '93.
Wait,
just remember
so do you know
clubbing.
Partners Cafe?
No, I did. Partners Cafe.
Gay bar.
I couldn't remember. No, I don't think there was a gay bar in New Haven back then. It's
Oh,
like
there-
we had
oh,
to
oh.
we had to drive into like a suburb for a gay bar. That's pretty big. It's
Choices.
like, and then
It was probably
And then
choices.
maybe you have to-
Choices.
yeah, back then New Haven didn't have a gay bar. It only has like straight bars then.
Well, Partners has been there for 37 years. And we, before the shutdown, were bartenders there, and so we sort of kind of stay active in the community. But that's awesome. That's amazing. So,
Wait, really quick. I'm Nick, by the way.
right, I was getting there.
Jay
Hi, dude.
I'm Tom.
Quentin.
and
I'm
Jay.
Kit.
Kit, Quentin, thank you both for joining us. Quentin, very quickly, how was your experience in New Haven? What did you think of it?
Oh, I was actually I went to Yale because I thought it was going to be it was the gayest Ivy League, but it was actually, and I came from Berkeley, so I came from basically the Bay Area. It was really gay, and I felt like really didn't meet anybody for like the whole year.
Oh my
The
God.
year that I was there.
Yeah. Well, back in
Um,
the 90s, it was pretty tough to be gay in New Haven.
But Tom
so,
could tell you where you should have gone.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm like a dinosaur over here. I'm the oldest. Well, no. You're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
So usually we have
I'm the
Chris with-
grandfather of the group,
That's right.
literally.
So, I'm the daddy. So
you know a mutual friend named Brian Jackson who was supposed to be in New Haven around the same time, and he was pretty out and queer. So
Brian Jackson. I'm gonna look on my Facebook. I'll let you know. All right, well,
Okay.
listen, guys, we've got an amazing thing to talk about. You guys have launched this new series called Boy Luck Club. It is one of the first, well, probably the first all Gaysian cast. When you talk about, representation, how important is a project like this for both of you in 2020?
oh, I think the Skype dropped off a little
Yeah.
bit. We
feel like-
missed the question.
Okay, well, I'll ask it again. So we have this amazing series. It's the first time you've seen a Gaysian cast come on and do something like Boy Luck Club. How important is it for representation in your community to have a series like this featured and out and about in 2020?
Kid, go ahead since you're younger.
Okay. I mean, for me, I haven't really watched a lot of like Asian American content specifically, and if any of the Asian American content I've seen, it's mainly Quentin has been the one who's brought it to life. Like all Asian American, showing that vibe. So for me, I grew up in Florida, and I also grew up in an all Caucasian neighborhood and family. So I really wasn't exposed to Asian American content until coming out to college. And for me, now being able to have this series out, I feel like it's a cool way to be able to hopefully relate to other people and also be able to see other Asian Americans on screen or on some kind of web content.
And so, Kit, do you have a background in performance?
Yeah, my primary background I would say is in dance and like musical theater, so stereotypical gay Asian, well, not stereotypical Asian side of it, but stereotypical gay side of myself with loving musical theater. And from that, I found myself really enjoying improv, and that kind of, I feel like, stirred into this creation of Boy Luck Club.
Okay.
So you have this service, AsianAmericanMovies.com, right? It features all Asian cast of a variety of different like shows and stuff. How important was it for Boy Luck Club to land on this platform, and how important was it to bring it out into the world
And build the platform.
Right.
Right. So basically, I'm the one like you guys behind the platform because it started off with a platform called Chopso, and it was something that is a similar Asian American platform, and we actually had a lot more content in it, like we're 400 hours or something, but somehow nobody knew what it was. So we ran it for 3 years with my partners, and they were not really film distributors. So at the end, they just thought, okay, let's quit that. So I sort of took over that platform and renamed it as AsianAmericanMovies.com. And I started with the content I already have because I made a bunch of features and a bunch of like shows and stuff like that. And then I started like reacquiring a lot of content, and I want to make it into a much more kind of curated form. And I think the last reincarnation of Asian American movies was a little bit too broad, and there's like a lot of stuff on there I didn't really like. So now it's a much more focused platform, and when you know what Asian American movies are basically. So it's a very self-explanatory kind of like platform, and I just thought, so when I met Kit, I just thought, oh well, he was an improver, and I don't know anything about improvisation, even though I did a lot of stuff. And I thought, well, what if we create this show? Because I always had this idea of doing this gay Asian show. But it's about like, a bunch of guys getting together on Friday night and they were going to go out clubbing, but they never went out clubbing because there was just always some drama happening. So I thought, well, now the pandemic has happened. You couldn't really go out. So what if we do it and make it a Zoom drama kind of thing? Because I just did a Zoom feature called Misery, which is also on the platform. You can check out. And I thought I had a really great experience working on the medium of kind of web chat or something. It's really freeing because you don't really need a lot of money to make it, and it's just focus on the performance, and you don't even have to like handle the camera and stuff like that. So
Right.
So very much we started that off, and like we met, I would say, during the pandemic around May. Is it right? No.
Yes.
We met in May. No, we met in August.
I'll just say
September.
yes. Honestly, I feel like with improv, I'll just say yes. Whatever.
We
Essentially,
met
2 weeks
literally.
prior to starting to do the thing, because I remember I had a couple of weeks just to cast.
Yeah, so we started shooting this is October. No, we started shooting beginning of October, right? And then we met actually end of September.
So
And then
is everybody in the cast, are they actual friends, or has everybody literally just been an actor that they have now had to get to know?
What was interesting is I thought they were all kids' friends. So I thought he knew all these actors and he could put it together. And in 2 weeks, after we met, and we actually didn't know each other before, we knew each other on Facebook and stuff like that. And then he said, "Oh, we have a cast," and it turned out actually some of the cast members he auditioned. And so, so you can talk a little bit about the casting process.
Yeah, I would say half of the cast I knew beforehand, and then the other half was through virtual auditions. Essentially, I remember I gave a list of like gay Asian identifying improvisers to Quentin. We went through those individuals first, and then from there, then I put down a breakdown, and then I did a lot of Zoom auditions now, because that's going to be the platform, and I paired auditionees up to like do a few different improvised scenes and games, about like 20 or 30 minutes worth of. So it was a long audition, but it sounded like they had fun, hopefully. And from there, just then seeing which ones kind of mix and match to create the cohesive group.
That's amazing.
And when you watch so I've only seen the first episode, and I'm watching it and I'm laughing and I'm having such a great time. And there is a intense twist at the end, which I don't want to spoil for anybody.
Do not spoil it.
I will not. But what was that process like for you to like have all of these people come together, and then like why? At one point in the they play Truth or Dare, and that's kind of like they're having a happy hour playing Truth or Dare. Like why was that the concept for the first episode?
Actually, so the Truth or Dare game, I think Kit came up with, and then I sort of like thought, well, we want to deal with something kind of like something I don't know, just somehow it popped in my mind that I thought, oh, we should deal with something a little bit serious, like a Me Too moment or something, because a lot of times, secrets kind of comes out from like these little kind of innocent games that friends do, and it became something else, So we just thought, okay, we just tested it and see if it worked, and somehow it did. So, and I just want to rewind a little bit. So I am as much a dinosaur, if not older, than all of you guys. And I started making films when I just graduated from Berkeley, and then I started making films because I didn't get a film school, and I ended up going to Yale in New Haven. And so during that year, between 92 and 93, I actually made a bunch of short films and experimental films. And I began making film because I wanted to do gay Asian content, because there's no content back in the 90s that features any gay Asians in it, right? And then later on, and then eventually, I got a film school. I started making features. I do stuff that's a little bit more mainstream. And then 27 years later, I met Kit, and I realized, wow, there hasn't been so much being changed. There hasn't been that many changes since I started, because still there were like only maybe a couple of filmmakers making kind of like a feature here and there about gay Asian content, and so I thought this show was really meant to be. And back in the days, I had to act in my own films because I couldn't find gay Asian performers or any performers who wanted to play gay Asian roles.
Right.
And so I'm surprised that actually I talked to Kit is that there's actually a niche within the improv community that's gay and Asian. So I thought that's kind of a perfect opportunity.
So I've seen, in my years on this earth, I've seen a lot of content be produced about, what people perceive to be the Asian, stereotypical role, where you could see, for example, like actors like Jackie Chan, for example, that are very well-known actors, but they play specific, like, for example, heterosexual stereotypical roles, right?
Mhm.
And one of the things that you don't see displayed, aside from minute characters here and there in certain series or in certain shows, is Asian representation in the gay community, right?
Mhm.
And you don't really get a lot of that. You see a lot of that on ABC with, for example, Fresh Off the Boat, or I think that's what the show was called, and where you're seeing your stereotypical, like, heterosexual family. And so with your content, what you're doing is you are pulling away from that and
Mhm.
bringing the Asian gay experience and the Asian gay lifestyle. And um, I really shouldn't say lifestyle, the Asian gay, just in a sense,
Culture.
culture
Yeah.
to the forefront, which is something that we don't see typically displayed unless they're, like I said, heterosexual actors. It's a big deal. This is huge, right? Because what this series is going to allow you to do is to portray you as a gay person. In your case, Kit, you're one of the actors in the series. Quentin, you're producing and creating along with Kit the content, and all the other actors are participating. What this does is it allows people to actually see gay life through the lens of Asian people, which is
Mhm.
really unheard of in media. You don't see it, right? And so
Yeah.
how did you approach that, right? Because you have to get to a point in time and where you say, okay, we're gonna do gay. It's gonna be gay content. It's gonna be Asian content. How do we put it forward in a way that really truly represents who we are?
While also taking back, like, the term Gaysian, because that can be and has been for so long derogatory.
Right.
Really?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily ever use that as a white gay male. I would never call somebody a Gaysian.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, I feel like in regards to like just the cast itself, I wanted to make sure that if we had gay Asian American characters, we had actual gay Asian American improvisers. And then we do have Xavier, who plays our straight best friend, and he is straight identifying. So I feel like just being able to, and because it's improv based, I feel like that's why you can still get the truth of like each individual story, because
Right.
the actors themselves identify within the LGBT community,
Mhm.
and then the heterosexual actor also identifies with them being heterosexual. And I feel like in regards to Gaysian, I feel like as of now, I feel like some people have been able to take pride in the word, because I know there's a all improv, which Quentin was bringing up, Gaysian AF, which UCB does, which is a lot of like pride within gay Asian American improv and sketch comedy teams.
And I think it also shows that the sort of like our like sort of general American / queer culture has come quite far along. I just remember back in 1996, I was making my first feature, and I actually discovered this actor named John Cho, who was Harold and Kumar. I think he's Harold, right? And he was in Searching lately, and so I gave him his first theatrical role in a feature film. And then after I made my first feature, Shopping for Fangs, I went to John and said, hey, you know what? I have this kind of like gay Asian script. Would you be interested in taking a look? And he sort of completely was didn't want to deal with it. So he gave it to this other actor. And so this other actor ended up becoming playing the lead. And what I'm saying is that back, I would say 10 years ago, I mean, still, playing a gay role could be a stigma to straight actors. And And now it seems like, wow, it's just like gay Asians are willing, or just gay people are willing to play gay roles, and there isn't that much of a problem. It's encouraging, you know.
Well, it's important,
Yeah.
right? Because for the past 5 or 6 years, we've seen other series and other shows cast straight actors in gay roles, specifically within the transgender community, right? When you think
Mm,
about, for example, Felicity Huffman playing a
right.
transgender woman, while she is a woman, when it could have been given to another transgender actress to play, is very disturbing to say the least. Because there's a lot of talent in the LGBT community. So
Mhm.
to understand the significance of what it's like to have one of the first all Gaysian cast members in a series, I guess I would like to understand what gay life is like in the Asian community and how it is received by your fellow
Mhm.
heterosexual counterparts. Is it something that's frowned upon? And like, how impactful seeing an entire gay cast is going to be for all those young, Asian gay men and women that are going to watch your series and say, "Oh my God,
That's me.
that's me."
I'm sure also casting, people for gay roles 10 years ago, and from my little knowledge, I have a lot of knowledge about nothing. But from my knowledge, I know that again, with Tom's question, within the Asian community, it can be frowned upon to take on a gay role if you're not.
Mhm.
How does the family see that? And I think that always becomes a big concern within the Asian community.
I mean,
Um,
I hate to say, I think that's the most, I mean, being, a filmmaker and a director, and I just think generally that's really that's really the most dumbest thing I've ever heard of an actor who's afraid to play a gay role. And but that's all I heard when I started. You know what? It's oh, I don't want to play a gay role. It's like, what are you talking about? You're an actor. Look at William Hurt, Kiss of the Spider Woman, one of the early gay roles. He won an Oscar.
Right.
and
correct.
and you just but still there's this still the stigma, and more even for the Asian American community. When I started out in the industry, it's like people are like really scared, like
Cultural. It's
literally,
cultural.
like I said, I'm just an actor. Why do I have to have this conversation even? And then they say, oh yeah, I can maybe play a gay character, but I can't kiss another man. Or I was like, what?
But it
You're an actor.
happens.
You're playing a
Yeah.
role.
To jump on that, showing like I feel like the time, of course, there's still always going to be stigma and trouble, but I feel like with with the casting side of it, there was predominantly more heterosexual men who identified as being straight, who wanted to, who submitted, and I auditioned for that, auditioned them. Like we had a good amount of people who from the Asian American community and identifying as straight and wanting to be a part of these roles, knowing that they are LGBT, but they also all said that they want, if they get cast, first they understand that it would primarily probably try to go to someone of an LGBT identifying background, but if they get cast, they want to portray a non-stereotypical presentation of it. So I felt like
And
that is a change.
And what does that look like for you, right? Because we all know that every culture typically has their stereotypical role that they're cast in. And so what does that look like for you? A non-stereotypical Asian cast member who happens to be gay.
my sense is that with the improver, which is kind of cool, is basically have them be themselves.
Right.
So again, like I work with a lot of actors, and sometimes they because I do have a lot of gay roles in my films, and they come to me and say, oh, how do you want me to play it? I said, just be yourself. It's just you can just bring whatever you bring into this role, but just so happens that this person could be a lesbian or a gay man or a trans person. So I don't want them to do the kind of like the birdcage kind of situation, right? And that's
Right.
really that's not what we want, by the way. So, and again, like you go into this whole a lot of these kind of like stereotypical roles, not even just for gays, but for like Asian characters, right? Because back in Hollywood, people love Asian roles speaking like weird accents and things like that. So sometimes I when I audition actors, I would say like 10 years ago, they would come in, they audition for an Asian American role. And I said like, well, can you have a Japanese accent? and they would bring in they'd bring in like a very kind of like broken English accent. I said, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, because of my accent, I was from Hong Kong, so I have this kind of like a little bit of British kind of like accent in my speech. So I'm looking for kind of more genuine Asian accent, what Meryl Streep would do kind of thing. But sometimes maybe it's too much for other people.
It could be.
But I think it's important though, and so I watched. This is such a weird segue, but Chelsea Handler, she has a new show on HBO or a feature, Evolution. In that, she goes to see Call Me by Your Name with one of her gay friends, and going to see it, she doesn't realize that it's a gay film, and like 5 minutes in, she's like, "Is this a gay love story?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she looked at him and she was like, "You're selfish." And then she comes back and she's like, "And then I had to take a moment to realize that I wasn't being empathetic." We have sat around as LGBTQ individuals not seeing representation on the screen of our love stories, but we have been watching heterosexual love stories for years and years and years. And finally, not only having the ability to see a gay love story, but finally being able to see Asian representation, that must be so powerful for you. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about like why that's so important and why we need to get that out there for everybody to see.
Right.
That's heavy, I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, basically, my sense of it is that like if I don't represent myself, nobody's going to really represent ourselves in the right kind of way. And so, and just whether you're gay or whether you're Asian, you're like, or even like Moonlight, going back, a couple of years ago, few years ago. And what do you think, Kit? Because I'm definitely the dinosaur generation, and
What I
have a
like about it
point
is,
of view.
of course, being able to see someone that looks like you is always going to be influential. I know when I was growing up, there was a character on Degrassi that I was like, oh, I can see that the LGBT story coming, and that was for me being like, oh, I can be relatable. But what I like about hopefully within our characters, because they're just being themselves, I don't think we have anything specifically stereotypically Asian, with the exception that we're just Asian. So hopefully it's generally still can fit within a universal story as well.
I think what's cool about the cast is that it's also pretty diverse in terms of like the ethnic makeup. So I know Kit is he was originally from Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
But he was adopted. He's also plays adoptee. So there's actually an episode about like an adoptee episode, and then I think half of the cast is Filipino American. So definitely there's also a little bit of difference between how the Filipinos and the Filipino American and Chinese American. And then I think Stanson, who is Filipino Chinese, but he's from Hawaii, so he's bringing the Hawaii angle, because I think growing up in Hawaii is also very different than growing up in the mainland. So I think one thing that I always try to cast is to even within like an all Asian situation, we try to cast kind of diverse, so that we can bring in different kind of like kind of like cultural differences and authenticity into the show, which I think is really interesting.
And the life experiences also you get to see the differences in the experiences of where you grow up. Like, for example, your surroundings shape who you are as a person. And then so when you put all of that together, you have a really good, well-rounded representation of what the Asian community is like, right? Because when you think about the Asian community, you're all over, right? And you have you can have South Pacific Asian members. You can, for example, have members from the southern areas, and where you look at Malaysia, for example, and all of these countries that represent a very large portion of Asian people. You can even see Asian people, north of China. Right. And so it doesn't have to necessarily be, for example, Japan, China, or Tokyo, right? There's a lot more. There's a lot more that involves the Asian community, and it's all over the globe. And those experiences, that culture, the food, the language, and customs can all be very different, but share some similarities. And so when you're taking a series like this and you have a cast as diverse as your cast from all
Mhm.
different nations of Asian descent, it can be a recipe for an awesome, fantastic, amazing show that really represents your community in a very amazing way, especially in the LGBT community.
Yeah, definitely. But actually, it's interesting that you mentioned Malaysia because I was location scouting Malaysia like a year ago, and I arrived at KL. I was just very influenced. I was just very taken by this whole mix of like Muslim culture and kind of like Chinese culture. And I told my friend, and she's like an actress. I said, well, what if we make a movie, a gay love story between like a gay Muslim and a gay Chinese guy? And then media said, oh, you can't make that because, it's you're gonna be banned. But anyways, but what I'm saying is that being in America is great because you do have that freedom to represent. And in Malaysia, gay films are completely outlawed,
Right.
or any kind of like or even in Singapore. Singapore is it? I don't know. But anyway, so I think like one of the privilege of being in America or in Europe or like in Canada, it's a reasonably free country, is that you can represent anything that you want to represent, and we can't take this privilege for granted.
Right. So, Boy Luck Club, you've got an entire first season, I assume,
Mhm. We're
right?
still shooting. We're still shooting. We
Yeah.
shot like half the series right now. So we'll be done shooting in 4 weeks.
Nice. And so, after season one, will there be a season two? I mean, what are your hopes and aspirations for this particular project that you're working on that is so amazing and needs to be viewed by the entire LGBT community?
Well,
more.
we hope. Well, immediately after we finish, we're gonna put the series also on Amazon Prime and also on Tubi, and so hopefully we will get our season 2 financed, with a better budget than what we have now.
That's amazing.
I was like frantically looking for it on Amazon Prime today. I'm like, no, I thought it was already there. I'm like going through everything. I'm like, I can't find it anywhere. I keep pulling up Joy Luck Club or something like that.
I know.
And I'm like, I'm not sure what that is.
So,
But
so right now it's just basically strictly on AsianAmericanMovies.com.
Movies. Exactly. It's the mostly the reason is why is that I can't. It's not possible for me to drop it like episode by episode on the platforms
Mhm.
on Tubi or Amazon. We have to basically shoot out the whole series and then drop the entire series there.
Mhm.
So it's coming. It'll be there probably a little bit before December, hopefully.
And
Nice.
so the whole thing will take place in this Zoom type platform, correct?
Yes, for the first season.
Okay.
Until COVID is over and we're able to actually do things, which is it's crazy that and that's the other thing that I want to applaud you for. It's like you took a situation, you took a pandemic, and you found a way to be creative and express your cultures, all of your cultures, in a way that really is consumable and the thing that is interesting the most is that people who are watching it can instantly relate to it. Why? Because that's what we're all doing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Like we're all in this room, in the same room, in the same space, because we're all practicing the same practices. And I will cut this bitch if she does anything outside of the ordinary and bring COVID into my house. But that's just how we do. But
Mhm.
in those spaces where you can't do it, the fact that you took something that people can now literally identify with, having a
Mhm.
video call with your parent, having a video call with your boss, right? Because a lot of people are working from home. It's very creative and very intuitive with the times, because I think that people not only will be able to identify with the fact that we're in a pandemic and this whole series takes place on a Zoom call.
Mhm. Right, and you predict our next episode, which actually we bring in an actress to play Kit's mom, adopted mom.
Ah,
So
Awesome.
he's inviting her to a cocktail hour. So it'll be a really fun episode too, I think.
will that be a social distance cocktail hour between you and your mom, or is she in the same space as you?
Definitely social distance, as the actress is in Hawaii.
Yeah,
Oh.
she's shooting Magnum PI right now.
Oh,
Her name
awesome.
is Amy Hill. So she's
Nice.
gonna come in and to play Kit's adopted mom, and she's half Japanese and half I think German. I don't know. So, but yeah, she plays the character Kamu on Magnum PI, and she's shooting in Hawaii right now. But we'll bring her in through Zoom.
So my last kind of thought, what is it like to direct a Zoom call? Like, how do you
I
how do you actually rehearse and direct a Zoom call and then make something so great?
Well, you know what it is because I learned a lot from shooting my last feature, called Misery on Zoom, and basically I felt like it's a very comfortable kind of experience because I'm at home, I can be like petting my birds or whatever, and I can be directing actors, and also the other thing is I noticed that it's great for actors also is because they're at their own space and they're comfortable.
Right.
So they're not like, because sometimes you go on set or you go to an audition even, you can just tell like actors, it takes a little while to adjust the actors to that environment. But on a Zoom call, it feels like you're all, in a very comfortable environment. So you just basically start shooting and and it's really an economical way to shoot it. And also it's kind of works.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it
And
definitely
you don't have to
works.
provide like a trailer for someone to sit and get their makeup done. I was like, you're home. Good luck.
Like
I know.
like our listeners can't see you, but they can see me, and I'm like literally watching this today, and then all of a sudden I was like, what the fuck? Like, it is a good series. I'm excited to watch the rest of it.
Great, thank you. We'll
Yeah.
send you screeners for sure through Matthew. So
So, yeah, because what we'll do is on tonight's post, when we post, we'll find the trailer for it and
We have
actually
it.
post it right on, because we have it on tonight's post so that people can actually watch the trailer and then engage. And
sure.
obviously, we'll put the website on there so that people can access AsianAmericanMovies.com and potentially, watch the entire series. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do with it because, again, doing, like Nick said, producing an entire thing and directing over Zoom can be pretty daunting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Having a conversation over Zoom with coworkers, let alone like family members, can be daunting. Imagine like creating a movie.
We're all over COVID. We get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But we have to continue to be safe and smart.
That's right. Don't
Exactly.
get too close.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, guys, before we let you go, because I know that you guys have another engagement that you have to get to, please plug yourselves. Social media, give us your website, tell us all about where people can find you, your content, and go.
Just go on AsianAmericanMovies.com or use the hashtag Boiler Club, and you'll find it on the internet.
Fantastic. Kit?
I guess my stuff is just my name, Kit Dezolt. So I'm very non-creative with any social medias. So essentially, it's just my name, Kit Dezolt, on any of the different social medias.
So if you get any crazy followers, just accept them,
It's probably me.
Yeah, it's probably
Cool.
me, him, and, a couple of other listeners that will do that. That's amazing. Well, guys, listen, I don't want to take any more of your time. First and foremost, I should have done this at the beginning. I want to apologize because we were late today.
That was
little
my
crazy.
fault. Absolutely mine. All
That
mine.
one right there. So first and foremost, I want to apologize, but I will say this: if you guys are working on anything else other than this, and you want to come on the show, talk about it, and promote it, you're family now. So
Great,
You're
thank
stu-
you.
you're
Yeah.
stuck
Look
with us.
forward to doing something else together.
Yeah, anytime, and you're stuck with us. So we'll go ahead and make sure that we promote on our end and make sure people know that this is happening because I think it's great, and I wish you guys the best of luck with the series. Seriously.
Great, thank you. And I want to send you the latest trailer that we made for the Halloween episode, so it would be perfect timing for it.
Cool.
Awesome.
I sent it to Matt, and then he'll send it to you.
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect.
absolutely, and we'll go ahead and put it into the episode as well.
Okay, great. Thank
right.
you.
Thanks,
right, guys.
guys.
Thank you
Thanks.
both, and good luck.
Thank you. Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, that, of course, was Quentin Lee and Kit Dezolt. They are, of course, the creators of Boyluck Club, which is available on AsianAmericanMovies.com. I'm excited to see what these individuals are going to come up with as far as it. You have to be extremely creative to do this over Zoom.
Yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised by the whole thing. Watching it today, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And it literally it's literally like us sitting around a table and then somebody dropped a bomb.
And
that's happened.
And all the time. We do this on the show all the time. So yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna post all the information on our post tonight. and just make sure that you watch it. And if you love what you see in the first trailer, then go ahead and subscribe and do what you need to do to watch the rest of it. And I think it's important to allow yourself to think outside of the box of what you normally see in TV and in media, because again, most times individuals don't get this type of representation, especially being able to see themselves in a film. So
Yeah.
do that. All right. So before we move on and wrap up, we've got a couple of things that we wanted to talk about. I am going to toss it over to Nick because he's got some amazing penguin stories.
Wait, do we want to end with that or?
Do you want to end with a happy one?
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, fine.
I
Next.
mean,
Let me take a step.
also, can you hand Jay the Gaytalk dictionary, please?
That's for you. Just pick one. Anyway, so guys, we know that right now
Got it.
we're in the midst of a nomination that is happening tonight. So we know that Amy Coney Barrett
Correct.
is going to end up on the Supreme Court. We said this at the beginning of the show. It's pretty much guaranteed. You've got flaky freaking Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, who initially said she wasn't going to vote to confirm anyone while there was an election happening. And then like 2 days ago, she reversed course and said that she was. And of course, you know, all the other Republican senators with their like-minded agendas of really destroying what we have worked for the past, 50 plus years in regards to women's rights and reproductive rights and gay rights and marriage equality and all that stuff. And so that's happening tonight. But ahead of that, ahead of her appointment, LGBTQNation.com, of course, had a story of individuals in St. Louis who are
St. Louis.
St. Louis. I say St. Louis. St. Louis. It's
It's fine.
potato, potato. I'm Puerto Rican. I think in 5 languages, girl. Relax. They're literally going out and getting married right before this, far right Supreme Court nominee gets confirmed. And I don't blame them. And I think that you're starting to see a lot of people be like, what happens if this woman gets put on the court, which is going to happen? Let's just say now she's on the court. What happens if through some lawsuit or blah whatnot, the question of marriage equality ends up on the Supreme Court? We have heard Chris on the show mention before that it was considered a super precedence. And so therefore it would not be able to be overturned or the court would never consider doing it. But then again, Roe versus Wade was also considered a super precedence. And they're both on the chopping block.
Right. So they can be potentially overturned.
Right.
We would never assume that that would happen because of the stature of the decision and how impactful it is for the entire American community.
Right.
But the reality is, if it does get overturned, I'm assuming and hopeful that anybody married prior to anything that gets overturned does not lose their rights to their marriage. And then continually, if it does get overturned at the national level, we still have all of the states that have legalized it. So it's,
But
if you are in Connecticut, if you are in Massachusetts and you were married, you will still be recognized as a married couple. And hopefully, if it's overturned at the national level, you will still be recognized nationally if you were married prior to its flip.
But we see, for example, in states like California, when you think about Proposition 8 and how that invalidated marriage equality for millions of, thousands of people that got married in California, that could potentially be the case here at a national level, because a lot of the states that ended up getting marriage equality before the Supreme Court ruled in 2015, 34 of them to be exact, the majority of them were because of lower court decisions.
100%, yeah.
And then
Or just
and so the question becomes, okay, so if marriage equality gets overturned at the Supreme Court, does the lower court ruling stand, right? And those courts or those states that were fighting to not have it be legal as a result of the decision that was made at the national level when the Supreme Court ruled, do they then get to invalidate marriages in those states? Right. And it's
So y- the sad thing is,
right.
yes, they do. So, I mean, think about it like this, right? So think about it like you were married in a state that wasn't that hadn't accepted marriage equality yet.
Right.
Nationally, the uh, Obergefell was overturned. You are now still living in that state.
No.
You are now still living in that state, which marriage equality was never passed at the state level. So your marriage in that state is technically not valid. But that being said, at the national level, you should still be recognized as married.
Right. Well, and so right, and so we think about
Because
how,
if something happens prior to a law being passed or overturned, you are, what's the word I'm looking for?
grandfathered.
You're pretty much grandfathered in. That's not the word it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're grandfathered in.
But then
That's why people are rushing to get married.
So
Right.
they can't overturn it once it's done. It just affects
Mhm.
going forward.
And think about
Right.
the consequences of being of having marriage equality overturned. You think about, for example, all of the benefits that you gain of being legally married and having the same benefits as heterosexual couples, in where you can, for example, make executive decisions for your spouse should they be incapacitated in hospital.
Right.
You can collect, for example, their pension or their social security or any type of life insurance that they have.
Or make
Medical coverage.
like a decision. Like,
It's
you know,
Medical
it-
coverage as well. I mean,
it's so impactful, and all I can say is that, so you have all of these individuals that are really rushing now to get married, like Nick said, potentially because they feel that once you're married it's very hard to undo something. But we've seen time and time again that it's also a possibility. It's just really disheartening that we, after 2015, after seeing that amazing, outcome of the Supreme Court ruling, that we have to sit here and worry about this again.
Mhm.
And that being said, for those of you who are contemplating, and you might be one of those, Trumps for gays who potentially might be listening to our show, I implore you, think about the impact that your decision to vote for someone who is actively fighting to take your rights away, your right to marry, your right to love, your right to exist. Think about the impact that that's going to have on you and your friends and family members and anyone around the US that you care for, that happens to be a member of the LGBT community. It's very, very disturbing to think about. And so, on that note, because I'm not going to mention it again, but maybe I will, guys, vote.
Mhm.
Election is 8 days away. Make sure that you have a plan. Go out there. If you're not registered, you can do it online. Most states allow you to register online. Most states have same day registration.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Like, I don't necessarily think that it's Trump's agenda to um, get rid of marriage equality or put down the LGBTQ plus community.
It's his administration and his party.
Thank you. So you have to think about not about what he's saying publicly. You have to think about the influencers in his circle,
Right.
right? They're the ones that are saying, "No, you should this Amy Coney Barrett person, this is the person you should
Right.
appoint. And this is why."
Right.
And there are so many reasons behind every decision that has been brought to him, and he, as a Republican president,
Has to,
maintain a certain level so he can maintain the fucking Oval Office.
and his
So
base.
he may say and stand there and say, "No, I'm 100% for gay rights, gay marriage, abortion rights," which I don't think he's ever said or whatever. But the reality is, the people that are influencing him
The Stephen Millers and all of these other people, and
Are-
the Steve Bannons
are
and-
not necessarily, and he is bringing people into office and potentially appointing people for a lifetime appointment that will make a massive difference for our community and could make a massive negative difference for our community.
Right. And so in the end, just think about it. Just think very long and hard. If you are feeling, burned because, you felt the burn and the burned out and Bernie's no longer on the ballot and you're thinking about sitting this one out, I think you really need to take a really hard look at what you're doing, what you are helping in a way, inadvertently helping stay in office and create and propagate through all of the spaces that we find ourselves in. It's just horrible. And so all I can say is have a plan, register to vote. You can vote in most states same day. And if you get to that polling place and they say to you, we don't have you on the records, make sure, because I know most states do this, ask for a fucking provisionary ballot. Because they have to give it to you right there in the polling place.
It's the law.
So, do that. Now, to end everything on a good note, we're going to toss it over to our good friend Trish. She's going to talk about what else? Gay animals, because that's what we do.
I mean,
So,
hello.
Trish.
So we have another story about gay penguins. And I'm so excited about it. So we have a couple that legit. So I'm not going to advocate for them because they stole an entire nest.
But they're animals and they don't know any better.
But they also stole it from their own community. They stole a nest from lesbian penguins. So, not okay.
But okay. But anyway, you go.
So anyway, this thieving bear, as much as I love them, stole a nest from a lesbian couple. And yes, they laid eggs, but the reality is because they are a lesbian couple, those eggs are probably not fertilized. That being said, the gay couple is treating it as if they are. There is one. I don't have names for these two, and we've talked about Sven and Magic and all of them, but we don't have names for these two. But they stole the eggs. They're incubating them like they would normally, and one is going out bringing food back, but the reality is the eggs probably are not fertilized.
Well, maybe we can call them Kitten and Quentin, right, in honor of our guest today.
I mean, we didn't ask them if we could do that.
But unceremoniously, it's
So anyway, this same couple has done this before, but this is the first time they took an entire nest.
They took not one, the entire nest.
They took the nest.
Like, girl, you don't need this house. Give it to me. Oh my God, that's too funny.
Yep.
So Trish, you're gonna walk over to the neighbor's house and just take their nest and bring over the eggs and just sit on them and just
No, that's
pretend
not my
they're
jam.
yours.
No,
No.
not my jam.
But
I don't want babies.
Isn't it always the thing that the male penguins always care for the eggs until they hatch after the females have them?
So
It depends on the breed.
in National Geographic,
Okay.
I know that what are they? I think they call them tuxedo penguins.
Yeah.
The ones that are in Alaska, Antarctica.
In Antarctica, they look like they're wearing tuxedos all the time. I don't know. Maybe they're not called that.
They're called
but-
Magic and Sven, by the way.
Magic
and Sven.
No, that's another couple.
Yeah,
That from that was
we
his,
talked about them already.
That was his
Okay.
first gay penguin story. Like you don't
Gotcha.
understand.
I don't think it was, but
Yeah, I think it was.
okay.
Because then we had dolphins and we had like all these other things. So with these particular penguins, I think I probably not called tuxedo penguins, but that's what I'm gonna call them. They share responsibility. Right. And so they have to walk miles and miles and miles and miles to go get food. And so the parents share responsibilities. But in this case, you've got these two gay penguins that are stealing the poor lesbians eggs and the whole nest. Like they just dragged it over and be like, yeah, this is ours.
No,
now,
I think
thank
they
you."
just took it over.
Yeah.
They just moved in, so they're squatters.
Pretty much.
So basically it's like they said, you don't even go here.
Mhm.
Like you need to move.
Mhm.
Go somewhere else. And that's evil.
So
You're right.
So in researching, trying to find their name, the gay penguins, I found something out that I did not know, or maybe I do, and we've talked about it. But did you know that the New York City Central Park Zoo had two gay penguins,
I did not.
Roy and Silo?
I did not.
They were born in 1987.
Holy shit, they're old.
Uh-huh.
They're older than you. Wait, no, they're your age.
Yeah, no, they're my age.
Oh,
Ooh,
you're
wow, that
older
hurts a
than
little
those
bit.
penguins.
Good
Actually, one
thing.
is younger than me, but we don't need to talk about
Okay.
that. So they did mating rituals. They presented one another with the rock. It's like the diamond and
Yes,
all
queen.
that
The
stuff.
rock.
And it actually resulted in them raising a chick named Tango.
Tango.
And we did not know about that because it happened before our show.
Imagine that.
So
So I feel like we need to go like visit the zoo.
Gay history of the past.
Right?
Yeah.
And then just throw like little rainbows and unicorns at the penguins, like little ices. Like maybe we can have some ices made with fishies inside with rainbows and toss them at them.
But I mean,
I don't think they like that
gay
very
penguins,
much.
man, Roy and Silo, and then we
Yeah.
also had the ones that stole from the lesbian couple, which I do not think was a good idea,
But it happened.
yeah.
You're a gay penguin.
Oh, 100%.
You're the most gay penguin, famous gay penguin I know.
Mhm.
All right, well, listen, my battery on my mouse looks like it's dying. Something's happening. So we're going to move on. We've got two more things that we're going to cover, of course, starting with none other than our favorite contributor all the way from California, Trish.
All right, everybody, it's Mama Kim's minute or 15 seconds. So number one, presidential debates haven't asked LGBTQ plus questions in years. Number two, watch Tiffany Trump's train wreck of a speech at a Trump pride rally, which I don't know if you watched it.
Horrible.
Number three, Billy Porter helps examine origins of LGBTQ rights movement in new docuseries.
Yeah. Like I feel that, right? So very quickly, we've had a lot of like recent films, for example, When We Rise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really, really an amazing series that came out about 2 or 3 years ago, actually shortly after Hillary lost the election. And we've had a lot of documentaries that have been done that really highlight the strife and the real like craziness that it was to grow up in the midst of that revolution, right? And to see all of the hard things that people had to go through to get to where we are today. That we can sit in this room and talk about gay rights and talk about gay things, and not realize that when Billy Porter does it, he brings such a fucking sass to it, right? And so I'm actually looking forward to watching this docuseries because I think that he just has a very magical way of bringing things to life.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to note that like so many of the series that we see or the documentaries that we see focus so much on the AIDS epidemic.
Right.
And there was, beginning in the 40s and 50s, like a huge push to like bring gay rights to people. They were
Right.
living in the shadows. I mean, like there was like a whole culture. And even before that, I
Right.
mean, yeah, we focus on the negative, we focus on the AIDS epidemic, but we don't focus on the fact that like there was a whole culture and people that fought for our rights that may or may not have passed
Right.
away during that. But
And don't get me wrong, the AIDS epidemic and that pandemic was extremely critical in bringing LGBTQ rights forward, right? Because it was as a result of the inactions of government at the time when this was decimating our community that it really pushed people to really fight for the rights that we needed to have. And so we're not,
downplaying by any
downplaying
means.
in any
No.
way how important that pandemic and the people we lost are to our community.
But I don't
But
think
there's so much more.
yeah, and I don't want people just to focus on that because yes, we need to know about it, but we also need to know about the people that were alive and fighting before it.
Right.
Know your
And
history.
Yeah,
know
that's
your
right.
history so you can move forward.
so it's
Yes, Papa.
There you go.
yes. I think it's important. that Billy Porter takes on a project like this because, like I said, he just brings a really good, amazing, vibing spin to things that he does. And I mean, we're talking about someone who did their own freaking state of like the LGBTQ union when the president was doing his. Like that takes balls, and it was fucking amazing. So anyway, our Jay Bear,
Jaybird,
darling.
darling.
We've got our gay talk term, of
Do we?
course.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
all
our
right.
gay talk
Oh,
term.
you put it. Oh, okay. I
Oh.
see it. All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our gay talk term today is brought to you, of course, by
GayRealEstate.com. Wow.
Bisexual, a
Oh.
person who is emotionally, romantically, sexually, affectionately, or relationally attracted to two genders or more, or someone who identifies as a member of the bisexual community.
So, Yas Queen.
Yeah.
Bisexual.
Yes. By
So-
the way,
By the way. All right. So, Trish.
On this day in gay history, of course, brought to you by
GayRealEstate.com.
A masquerade ball raided by the police when October 26th, 1962, where New York. Dozens are arrested at the National Variety Artists Exotic Carnival and Ball. And the reason I brought that up was because of the story that we were talking about earlier, with Billy Porter and all of that.
Right.
Like, it just happened. 1962 was not that long ago.
Now.
We have to go out. We have to vote. We have to make sure this doesn't fucking happen again so
Right.
that we can actually, when COVID is over, congregate.
I can't wait to get together in a space and outside of my
And be safe.
patio and be safe,
Yeah.
and really share. I think that when we have a safe vaccine, that's important, and we can get away. I swear I'm going to go away for 2 weeks.
Oh.
Like 2 weeks
I'm
and
out.
just be like, goodbye.
Bahamas.
2021 is going to be totally different.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to care. Like, I'm just going to drop my dogs off at my mom's and say, here, feed them once a day. They'll be fine. And just go. No, but my mother loves my dogs.
I know. She's going to live here, though.
That's fine.
Mhm.
It's okay. All right. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. If you love our show, make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By subscribing, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your web browser or device as soon as our episodes are published. What happened?
Keep going.
All right. And you can also support us on Patreon. Patreon is a service that allows you, our listeners, to support the show with a monetary donation, which we collect monthly and can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Trish?
Oh, yes. And next week we welcome, of course, the one, the only, Dr. G to talk about this month's Tale from the Tail.
Tales from the Tail. I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thank you to our guests, Quentin and Kit. We will post all the information for not only the web series, but the website on our post this evening.
Right.
So look forward to that. And don't forget, talking about Dr. G.
Oh, crapola.
You can get your discount today for the Future Method. Each time you clean out with water or enemas, delicate tissues are harmed and cells are damaged, increasing chances of injury and or STDs. The first of its kind, doctor-developed formula gently cleanses before you play without hurting your bum. And now you can use code Gaytalk20 for 20% off, valid for one purchase or one subscription per person.
All right.
I hate that fucking thing.
So I will go from here. Our show is available on our website, gaytalk20.com, under audio podcast. It is also available as a free download on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher Radio, because iTunes is no longer a podcast thing. And
It's also available on our website, gaytalk20.com. And Nick announces you can find us on social media. Facebook, Gaytalk 2.0, Instagram, Gaytalk 2.0, Twitter at Gaytalk20. You can email us at gaytalk2.0@gmail.com. Tom, take it away.
all right, if you need to reach out to us, just head on over to our website, click on the Contact Us tab located at the top of your web browser. There you can leave comments, suggest topics, submit a question for the cast or an individual host, or you can also call us and leave us a message via voicemail. We can answer those for you on the show. The phone number is 334-GAY-TALK. If you need all those digits, it is 334-429-8255. Don't forget that we do stream live every Monday at 6-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can access that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. One more thing, wash your hands, wash your ass. Ladies and gents, that's our show. Thank you, and y'all have a good night.
Vote,
Bye.
vote, vote.
Vote. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gaytalk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.